Does it do an audible thing?
Yes, it just...
Yes.
Okay, so-
You know what, also, do this.
Have a monitor so we can see.
Where's the...
Okay, I'll do the call to order.
Yeah.
LocalWorks meeting, January 21st. Here we are, Easthampton, 50 Payson Avenue.
Where is it?
Okay, how about the adoption of the agenda?
I move to adopt minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Minutes or agenda?
The agenda.
Agenda, yes.
Second.
I thought that we had talked about, talking about the EDIC in...
I thought that it's very generally under letter B, all business, discuss local works projects, initiatives. We could maybe put it under there.
Okay.
We're adding what?
Discuss future local works, EDIC
Okay.
Relationship.
It's vaguely in there under B, but
Okay. How about the meeting minutes?
Wait, so there's one,
We
two,
need
three,
both.
four of us. Okay, so 2 meetings worth of minutes. I move to approve both minutes.
Second.
Okay.
can we vote on both of those now?
Yeah.
So voting on that?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And then we need to all in favor with the agenda. 'cause we-
All in favor with the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so there we go. Public comments, nobody?
Can I, since
Okay.
I'm not an official member
I
of the
didn't think it
committee,
was public, but-
there's a couple of things I just want to note that you're going to need to consider. We're in the process of our budget process right now. So Jamie has your paperwork for the EDIC, which I believe the LocalWorks budget has been funded under an EDIC budget. I don't believe it's been on your own LocalWorks budget. But we'll need to do a review of what your request was this year, how much you actually spent this year, and then what your request is going to be in the next fiscal year, if any. I know that you've been paying for the website out of that, so you'll need to take that into consideration, but then also, printing, design of the survey results, if you anticipate having, either spending money this upcoming fiscal year, or if you have anything that you're thinking is coming up in the next fiscal year that you want to request funds for, this is the time to start doing it. So I'd say when's your next meeting?
2 weeks.
So at your next meeting, you should put that on your agenda as a discussion item. Because submittals have to be to the city, I think, sometime in February, so. You can see I haven't started my budget yet. Behind schedule.
I can't imagine why. Is there anything else to do in planning?
And again, the fiscal year is June to June?
It's
June 30th?
it's July.
July 1.
July 1, starts on July 1
Okay.
to June 30th.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you do intend to make printed copies of this, you'd want to think about scheduling that printing and getting this finalized within this fiscal year.
From this current.
This under 250, because I believe you still have some cash. in there.
$200 or something
Yeah,
like that, yeah.
so you might be able to get at least a good first run available.
I think we discussed that for the printing, we would only do a handful, so that people could have a handful of color copies, so that people could have them around.
With the library at the chamber,
The chamber, yeah. They do look
senior center.
colors look good.
Colors do look
And then we'll post them PDF on the website.
Definitely, website and Facebook. Okay,
So I just wanted to put that on your radar screen. Okay?
thank you. Whole business.
Okay, so here we go.
Survey says. I think Jane did a very good job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you want to go through the comments you had, or?
A lot of it's just, I think for the most part she did a great job, but a lot of it's just stylizing and her learning to write in that professional manner that I'm pushing on her to write in a certain way. So a lot of it's just stylized stuff. I thought there was some areas of just a sentence could be written a little bit differently, and I wanted to talk to her about the formatting, because I would think that maybe if you wanted to have a blurb about arts and entertainment, the graphic should be with the blurb. If there was a way to maybe rearrange that a little bit, I don't know. Again, if I was somebody working in economic development and I wanted to basically print out something to show to my somebody, my company, my boss, whatever, I think it might be better to have it formatted in such a way that you could just print off one sheet that would have that information. But again, I don't know if that's feasible. It was just sort of something I was thinking as I was going through it.
These are
Specific instances we should look at?
Well, here's one,
So
food
just
and beverage.
Food and beverage.
Arts and entertainment,
Yeah,
page
so
6.
right, so, I mean, I would set this up in a way, if I were doing it, so that this food and beverage preferences would probably be at the header of the page,
And then the graphic.
or then the graphic below it, and if there was sort of a standard format that could be followed,
Right.
and again, I don't know if it's possible, but if there was a way to sort of organize it so that if I was in the food and beverage business, I could print out one sheet that would have a chart
It's
and
true.
blurb.
It would
So,
be,
yeah, I think that's just a quick form, like you just push the page in.
Right, I think it's just a matter of having a page break here.
Yeah.
And then kicking this to the next page, but I don't know if that can be done consistently throughout the document. I don't want to add more work to this, so.
question, is this something that one of us can do with, if we sit with you for a minute, you show us what these things are? Because we have the raw file. Or when is Jamie getting back? And
She'll be back at the end of next week.
end of next week? Yeah, see, if we've been waiting a long time
Sure.
to do this.
I mean, again, you don't have to do it, but I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna scan this and send it to her because there's things that need to get fixed anyway.
Okay.
This can't go out to print today the way that it's currently drafted.
Right.
There's too
Would
many-
you send it to me too? And I might
Sure.
be able to work on it so she doesn't have to have it done before she gets back.
Sure, she's planning to work on it in Florida, just so
Oh.
you know. She brought it with her.
Okay.
She's got the file,
I
and her
know,
intent
sure.
was to work on it.
Okay.
So-
Well, then we'll leave it with her then.
Yeah, I think she probably wants to have the control of it, would be my guess.
Okay. Well, she did give us the raw file in case we
Right.
wanted to do it. But yes,
Right.
she's willing to work on it there, then it's fine.
Right.
Can I double check and see if you caught what I caught?
Sure.
Under acknowledgements on the first page or second page?
Yeah. Design or resign. Okay.
Who here took the time, no. 500 people who took the time. And then, I don't remember the pages, there's 2 pages where Art Walk is mentioned and it isn't one word, it should be 2 words. I think it's 12 and 14 and 16, something like that.
Oh, I have a public speak. Can we go back and move down to this agenda item?
we're done, we're done.
Hold on. I can't find it, but I'll just make a note.
I can copy the email that I sent her too.
Well, if you sent it to her, then she's got that and she'll incorporate it.
Okay.
So back to public speak. Sorry about that. I just want to remind everybody that Winterfest is February 7th and 8th,
Right.
and that we're showing the Nashwanikon documentary at the Winterfest kickoff, and I'm assuming that all of my LocalWorks brethren will be there,
But we should add this to the section under,
except for Denise, who's going to be in Key
because
West.
actually that's an important topic, because they did contact us again. I think I CC'd everybody.
Yeah.
So why don't we discuss that in a few minutes after
7th and
we're
8th.
finished with this
Yes.
section on the survey?
Okay. Okay.
Because Jessica may not want to stay for the whole time. So,
Does anyone else have edits for the survey? Kathy, you?
I don't have any others, no.
No, I was,
I missed
maybe
all
it's
of
because
those
I
corrections.
looked at it so many times.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, that's
no, I scanned through real quick, and but I think that's a really good point. That doesn't seem like that would be a big deal to make a few things.
No, but if you don't have any additional ones, then just leave it up to you.
Leave it at that.
There was a couple of more, not substantial, but like on page 4, I'm recommending that under these key findings, and I don't know if the committee decided this or whether this was Jamie who wrote this up, but all of these have bullets or an explanation next to them, and you've got this floater down here, so I was going to recommend putting consumers are committed to the action of buying local and are aware of community assets and opportunities for local purchasing.
You know, we
Combine that into one.
thought about that, we struggled over it, and you came up with the perfect solution.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
You've been here that day. You would have saved us about 10 minutes.
Okay, good. And then there was another comment on page 11 that says, interestingly, there's a contradiction between the respondents' actions and stated desires. The majority of respondents never or rarely purchase from ethnic or specialty food stores, while there is high demand for these types of businesses. And I just thought that seemed odd because they're never or rarely purchasing because they're not in town, I guess is how I translated that data. So yes, there's a contradiction, but their contradiction is because they're not here. So maybe that's why they're not purchasing.
We can add that.
So that was going to be my recommendation, is to add just something in there that just clarified that that it's possible that the reason that they're never or rarely purchasing from ethnic or specialty food stores is they don't want to drive to Hadley or Northampton to go get them. If they were here, there would be a higher demand for that. I don't know. That was the only...
Yeah, that is a good point. It's kind of like this is in analyzing the results in a way that's a little different than some of the other stuff that we were... So maybe we should just remove that and just say people wanted to buy from...
But we don't know. I mean, we're assuming. We're making assumptions with the data. So I guess that's where you can say, yes, there's this contradiction, but the contradiction may be there because there's no...
I think that makes sense.
So, okay, so I was going to ask her to sort of add something there in relation to
because
that.
there are fewer or none.
But those are the two bigger...
But we're asking about a lot of stores that are out of town. Down below there, about Big Y, Big Whole Food. And ethnic food is just one other category that we're asking them.
Well, no, but the reason why this disparity...
Right, it's the reason.
Because we don't have...
We don't know a reason.
Yeah, that's what I was just suggesting that we
I
had
mean,
that.
if Blue Moon was still in town, and, anyway. Okay, all right, that was it.
I have a semantics question.
Sure. Sure.
Under acknowledgements, the City of Easthampton, through the LocalWorks Committee, is pleased to present this survey. Is that right? Or do you want to switch the LocalWorks Committee through the City of Easthampton?
It should be the other way around. I think the Local Work Committee in cooperation or collaboration with the City of Easthampton.
I like that better.
I just have one other question. Do we have to put that, in the acknowledgement section, do we have to put that people who resigned, or do we even have to mention that they resigned?
Oh, we wanted to.
We want
Well, no, we wanted to name a couple specific people because they were instrumental.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and they're not part of the committee anymore, so.
All right, one more thing. While we're on this page, should it say after Jamie's name, it says assistant planner, should it say City of Easthampton?
I have that in there as a edit, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So I took out I took out all the, normally you would say like Matt Waugh, committee chair, comma, principal of Waugh Agency LLC, you wouldn't say and principal.
Okay.
Kathleen Lynch, station manager, comma, Easthampton Community Access Television. Again, these are just semantics and standard formatting and planning documents, so
Okay.
you may not necessarily know that yet, so. But yes, I added City of Easthampton.
Cool. Thank you very much. Good comments.
You can stay.
Unless you're bored.
No, I can stay. I mean, she asked me to come, so I'm here.
So that's pretty much it. We're just going to wait for...
Okay, well, actually, here's the thing now. Do we have to see this again? After Jamie does these edits, can we just publish?
I think so.
You might want to look at it one more time before you publish, just to, or not, or you can just go to print.
We probably should, but I don't want to. We're not.
I can take a look at it, since I haven't been working on this document, so my eyes are fresher on this than
Which I
yours.
think is a good thing.
I'm happy to look at it and catch any errors, any edits, any typos, kind of thing.
I
And
think
that's all.
if there is a way we can avoid another 2-week delay before
Absolutely.
publishing,
Okay.
and I trust both yours and Jamie's eyes.
Sure.
So, is everyone else happy with that?
I'm perfectly happy with that. It seems
Yes.
acceptable.
What if we publish it on the web? And it's going to take us a week or two to probably get these things printed. If something comes up and we see it's already on the web.
You should definitely put it on the web. So,
Yeah.
so you would put it on your
We can always change
website
it.
and you'd put it on your LocalWorks
Right.
Facebook page,
Yep.
and then the planning department will share your, because we want you to have the glory. So we'll share your status update, and then we can put it on, we'll have Jamie, when she comes back, she can put it on the city website too.
Great.
Okay?
Can we also, I mean, maybe at this point in the conversation, we should talk about, even though the survey is not finalized, we can release happy tidbits onto the LocalWorks website.
I think so.
You know, and I think in spite of there being the full document, I think we should still put out tidbits, like, did you know?
Absolutely.
You know, X percentage of Easthampton shoppers like this.
I think it's a great idea.
You know, I think we should, maybe Matt, maybe you and I can get together and pull some of that material out.
I guarantee the press is probably going to pick up on this too. They're going to want to have at least some blurb in the paper about it.
Great.
So,
We were hoping to get something in Summit.
in the summit?
Yeah.
Well, I would think maybe even just the Gazette itself.
Well, but for people who don't get the Gazette,
Oh, I see.
people who get the Gazette get Summit. People who don't get the Gazette still get the Summit sent to them.
I don't know what the process is, but you could talk to Rebecca about whatever, if she puts an article on the regular Gazette page,
Okay.
writing that down to something that goes into more of a blurb for the Gazette.
Okay.
That could be part of the conversation possibly with her, if you want her to cover something.
I would love to.
Let's see why not.
Okay. So both Diane Guterman, who's with the Springfield Republican, and Rebecca follow the Easthampton Facebook page, and they usually will call us when we post stuff, so it may, once it gets posted, we may. So who wants to be the spokesperson for LocalWorks? Matt?
I mean, we can use this page, right? And just.
Yeah, absolutely, but she's probably gonna want to quote, she'll probably want to talk to you, that kind of thing. So,
Can take a picture.
Well, if you could all get a picture taken, if they want that.
yeah, I don't know if they probably want that, but they may, you never know. Okay.
One thing about this sort of, are we done with the survey section now? We can move
I
on.
think so, yeah.
The Survey Monkey results, we had discussed releasing somehow the full results to people beyond just our analysis, or having that available in some format. And so I'm wondering, because Denise from the Chamber actually had a lot of spreadsheets on it too that were sort of like results.
Well, yeah, it was her own analysis was meant,
But we have somewhere, because basically what I'm trying to get to is we have to decide, and presumably to cancel the Survey Monkey account itself, because it's coming up where they're going to renew it with an annual fee. And I don't see any reason to do that unless we had another survey planned right now. If we're going to do a survey in the future, we can always reopen it.
Can we downgrade to the free?
I'll look into that.
Because we should probably just downgrade to the free, that way all our stuff lives there still.
I don't know if it will or not, but we need to get all the data off of there that we download the whatever it is, Excel, they create the Excels. Maybe somebody already has that.
Jamie might already have it.
Yeah.
And then stick that in an archive, like in the
Right.
city archive, so that
Right.
anybody could come and get it and do their own analysis.
At the end of the month that it's renewals up?
It's soon. It's like in a few days, or the 29th. Yeah. So that's
It's been a year already.
yeah. That we open that account. And nobody else has used this account in the last couple hundred days. There are a couple other groups used it a little bit, but nobody's really used it. So it's not really worth, I don't think, us renewing it for 200.
Who else used it besides the Cultural Council?
I'm not sure. There was a couple other arts related, ECA Plus, I think. Yeah. But not much.
So, will you take it on to make sure that that is downloaded, or check with Jamie to see?
I'll check with Jamie then to see, yeah, if that's all set.
Okay.
May just go ahead and cancel it.
I think so.
Or downgrade for free?
Or to downgrade, yeah. Okay. All right, so let's move on to letter B, the future of LocalWorks projects and initiatives. Now, one person emailed us about Winterfest, which is, Ms.
Yeah, Ms.
Provo.
Provo, yeah.
She mistakenly called our group FutureWorks.
Yes, I
I
heard
thought that would be an interesting title for the next kind of campaign that we have.
But FutureWorks is...
It is something.
Oh, is that all right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that- what-
it's-
is that the Springfield area? like-
Yeah, she wrote me back and said that's what it was.
It's already in
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so forget that. If she's doing Winterfest, we want to get involved with that, but
The Nashwanik Pond Steering Committee is, in conjunction with BCA Plus, is hosting Winterfest.
Right.
And,
There's a total of like 62 volunteer positions that they're looking for.
right.
So if anybody does want to get involved, there's plenty to do.
We could do it by, we can sign up for it by the link that she sent, right?
So,
but that's above and beyond attending the screening.
what day is that?
Friday. It's Friday.
Friday.
Friday at 7.
Is the screening?
Friday 7 at 7.
Outside?
2/7 at 7. No, it's Easthampton High School auditorium.
Wait a sec. Friday the 7th?
Friday the 7th.
Winterfest is on the 8th of
Okay. Screening, and what's the proper name of what's being screened?
The Nashwanik Pond documentary.
Okay.
And it'll be more of an event, so there'll be the screening, but there's an MC, and I think there'll be some awards presented also that evening.
It's in Easthampton High School.
Easthampton High School. Holyoke High. No,
At 7? Yeah,
7.
okay. We should probably all try to be there if we can.
Yeah.
Well, if we can make a commitment, or if we can make an email commitment, there can be a little section of seating. Just saying.
Well,
So you're part of the production of that ECAT.
We're supplying the product to be screened. Hopefully it'll be done by...
Good. All right, well, now, as far as the larger future of LocalWorks and whatnot, I mean, it's a much bigger, I guess, discussion. EDIC wants, we've talked about getting closer with them.
we talked about combining, or bringing LocalWorks back into EDIC. I think part of the reason I think it was a good idea is because the EDIC it seemed to have more bandwidth, and there wasn't, they could be doing more with their time. And I thought maybe having just more people involved with this, what might be more effective. And if we had 2 meetings to attend a month instead of 3, or for me anyway, that would be, but that's a selfish reason, that's the last reason. But what do other people think? I have not raised this with anyone on the EDIC yet, because 4 o'clock will be my first time as chair of EDIC, so.
Well, let's open up that discussion and see what's the desire of the EDIC. I mean, this was our charge. There's other ways that we can brainstorm and support local economy on the one hand at LocalWorks, but also that shouldn't be without the knowledge and sort of participation of the EDIC.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I thought I'd open it up here first, so
Yeah.
what do you guys think?
I kind of think the same thing about LocalWorks that you just described about EDIC. So my hope was that the marriage of the two groups would infuse energy into both groups. And we've been together an awful long time. We meet a lot, and all we've done, and I don't mean all, it's big, but all we've done is that survey.
Yeah.
and some videos.
Some videos. So
Although the videos were really done by you outside of this committee, so.
But for the committee.
Right.
And James did the website. You know, I'm not trying to belittle anyone or this group. I'm just saying that we could be more active. There could be more leadership as far as what we could be doing.
Input from them as to our, in other words, input from
Right.
them as to our direction of this.
Exactly.
Yeah. And who knows, you know, the personnel on EDIC may be going through some changes in the next couple of weeks. There may be people who say, well, this is a good time for me to bow out. I also think I know we have at least 3 or 4 open slots for EDIC, and I would like to try and fill those as soon as we could.
And I also know one of your newer members has priorities in terms of compiling more data to generate a kind of a directory and cost per square footage of rentals and all those kind of good.
You talking about Chris?
No, David.
Oh, David, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
What's that information for? What do you mean?
Just kind of a comprehensive, if prospective businesses wanted to locate here, open here, that it would, there's a sheet not unlike this that states, this is, in Easthampton, retail rental goes for, approximately 1.25 per square foot or whatever. I'm just randomly making up that number or whatever, something that's kind of comprehensive that can go in a packet for prospective business developers, et cetera, all that good stuff.
Okay.
So, that would be useful.
Well, good. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Well, I just think, as to echo what Denise says, we need to have a next step as LocalWorks. And, in essence, we are part of EDIC, correct? We are a subcommittee of them.
Right.
Now, whether are we supposed to be, procedural, are we supposed to be getting that direction from it? Or
Theoretically, you should be taking this document, you should be presenting it to them, you should be giving them your assessment of what it means. I think this should be guiding you on what your next steps are, to some extent. That there should be some nugget of information in here that could give you some ideas of where you could go next. That's sort of the part of planning is you collect data, you come up with steps of...
Do something with it.
And then you do something with it,
We have
Think, plan, do kind of thing.
We have been keeping EDIC in the loop on this, by the way.
Right, no, I know there's a standard, but I think not a formal presentation, but a copy of the document, and then more than just maybe you presenting the information, but a presentation of the information to them on what it says.
Yeah, we did that
We did that last month.
But not the final, maybe if we get a couple, the final one printed up, we could get 5 or 10 copies and give one to EDIC.
And then collectively, the two groups could come up with a plan, a strategic plan of next steps. What does this information provide you? Okay, what are we missing in terms of specific retailers? Is somebody willing to do some outreach to specific companies to get those retailers here? I've been pushing for some fact sheet on vacant properties for a long time with EDIC, and I did a very comprehensive economic development plan with Agawam before I started here, and I've shown that plan to them multiple times on this is what I think Easthampton needs. This identifies the vacant properties, this provides specific information on, water and sewer for each of the properties, what it's zoned, what it can house, how big is the building, what's it assessed at, what's the vision for the community for this property, what would they like to see happening there, and that's sort of gone nowhere. So I think that there is some definite fact sheets and things, handouts that could be up on the website that can be provided in the economic development community to get businesses to look at us and to think about us as a place to relocate. It's about marketing ourselves.
Right.
What do we provide in the valley as a whole? We have to look at ourselves regionally. How are we different from Northampton? How are we different from Springfield? What do we provide that's unique and different that a company might want to come here? We have mill space. We have lots of mill space. We have lots of vacant space in the mills that can house incubator businesses, that can house even larger businesses as they begin to manufacture. We have to think about it in sort of a comprehensive manner. In economic development, you really want to be able, the community wants to be able to provide, the place where somebody can do research and development to come up with a concept and then be able to provide space as they grow and get bigger. So, thinking about all of those levels and where we have assets or gaps to fill those levels and then marketing ourselves is really where it's at. And I think both groups could be doing that, maybe in a different way, you being more of a local works, local spending, local preference, local getting Easthampton people to spend here. But EDIC could be thinking about it in bigger
in
regional
larger terms. And there's nothing that bars us continuing to have a subcommittee, but maybe the subcommittee doesn't need to meet twice a month,
And
you know?
there's also nothing that bars us from branching back out again.
Right.
If we were pulled back into EDIC for a
If
couple
given a
months
specific,
and get some more direction, then we could branch out. If we found some, after we decided, took the data and decided, okay, these would be the good best next steps, then we could branch back out again.
And the one thing I did pitch to you guys a couple months ago was the Easthampton Innovators Expo.
I know. That's
So
very
that could
cool.
be something that you guys take on as your task
Right.
to organize that, to identify what those businesses are, to figure out what the program is, whether there's, a kickoff event, whether it's just a monthly open house where we talk with a business and see if they'd be willing to give an open house tour to anybody willing to come in and look at those sites and just sort of market those businesses that are kind of hidden right now. I mean, I think that would be a good first step. And then figuring out where the vacant lands are and where there's space. And I think it's important to have a realtor on one of these boards. Somebody who's in the realty business that knows what's available week to week.
Is there not now?
Not that I'm aware of.
EDIC.
I know Peter Davies has expressed interest, and I think he'd be a great addition to EDIC or LocalWorks. But he knows what's going on in those mills. He knows, space is available. He's commercial and residential realtor, so he knows where the spaces are. And I think you need to have somebody who's kind of in the know. I don't have time to check the MLS every day, so.
Peter Davis.
Peter Davies, he's on the Board of Assessors as well. He's great. So I would, I'd encourage having a realtor
Yeah.
on one of these boards, Mr. Chairperson.
Okay. Yeah, I would think probably the EDIC board would be.
I think that would make more sense, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I'm throwing my 7 cents in.
No, that's good, that's good.
Oh, at least 10.
Matt?
Right.
I like that Easthampton Innovators Expo. The way it sounds, it kind of seems like it could be open to not just business innovation, but even art innovators, cultural innovator kind of thing that Easthampton has a lot of. So that might be one possible thing. I mean, Easthampton is certainly not at a shortage of festive events and parties and art walks and winterfests and whatnot, but I think this could be a little bit, more focused.
Holyoke, I recently discovered, does something kind of similar, but they do it as an open house, so it's like a monthly open house.
Oh, really?
Where they have one business that it's open and you get a tour of their facility and find out what they make and how they make it and stuff like that.
Do you know what they call that?
I don't know, I can't remember.
Something
I saw it at some workshop, sort of passing sort of thing. But I know the planning director there, so I can certainly outreach to him if needed.
Okay. Cool.
It sounds like we don't need to make any drastic decisions right now. We can get this survey done and all of us kind of start thinking.
Get the survey done and see how we fit in with EDIC. I think general consensus here is that it would be good for us to, at least on the short term, for us to get back into the EDIC.
We've never been there, so.
Well, that's true. So for us to be brought into the
We
EDIC.
might not want us.
Well, then that's something we'll need to discuss too then. Yeah, I don't have it on the agenda for today's EDIC meeting, but I can put it on the next one though. So.
Do you think we should wait to meet until we are completely done with the survey with the printed copies and then we go to the EDIC then? That way we will have had some time to all think about what's happening and rather than just meeting another couple of weeks to kind of think about,
It'll be done in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The survey will be done. The survey synopsis
But let's
will be
do that,
done.
and now that we've talked to Josh is the chair of the EDIC, I'm
Right.
sure he'll discuss it in the meeting,
Yeah.
that this is what we're thinking about.
But I think by the time, EDIC only meets once a month. So by the next meeting, we're meeting this afternoon, the next meeting after that,
When is the next meeting? You don't know yet?
It's a third,
It's today. Today's a Tuesday, so
it's
it's
the
the
second Tuesday, third Tuesday.
third Tuesday of every month.
So maybe that's when our next local works meeting should be. It's right before that. We'll have all the printed ones done by then, and we just go in and we can meet an hour, half hour before and kind of have some...
I don't know if you want to introduce a topic like that with all of us sitting in front of them, though. That's kind of...
No, but to present the final survey and...
Well, yeah, but I would also, well, actually, we could present it at the, have our meeting then, present the survey, and then local works people leave. And then we could raise it.
So you can put it on both things on the agenda for the next EDIC meeting.
Yeah.
And then they'll know it's coming. And then we'll-
So you're suggesting our meeting before the EDIC meeting?
Right.
On the 18th?
Was that the third Tuesday?
Tuesday, February.
Yeah.
February 18th?
Yeah.
Well, have we assigned the tasks in terms of who's going to take it to the printer and who's,
Well, we're taking to the printer, I mean, we're not, are we?
or who's going to distribute it to the color hard copies?
Are you guys thinking to have this bound in a certain way so that you would design it on 11 by 17 so that you could do like a center staple? Or no? Just color
I
copies
think so.
like this?
I mean, we could,
I think it would look a little bit more professional and
yeah.
nicer if you did it 11 by 17.
so it'd have to be,
Do it as a booklet.
is it even 4 pages? Is it
Yes.
divisible by 4 now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
But
yes,
again,
it has
that's a formatting thing.
Well, I know it has to be.
I
That's
mean,
why
you
it's
should have
called
a
saddle
blank,
stitch.
yeah, you should probably have a blank page here for the back cover and maybe start this. I mean, there's ways to reformat it.
Well, I'll work
Just
with
throwing
Jamie,
it out there.
because I used to do catalogs, so.
Right, you two can kind of get that all figured out, and then we'll figure out the best place to get a few copies made.
Yeah,
I'd be glad to distribute.
okay. Okay, so do we need to have that kind of stuff, right? We're not supposed to do business.
It's not really business, it's just more like,
It's, we could call it work group. That's how we got around it with the cultural district. If it's a work group, it doesn't have to be necessarily in this building.
right, it's just to,
Well, how many is it? Just you and Jamie, right?
you know,
And Denise and Matt, maybe.
Well, then you're starting to get in quorum.
we don't need to have everybody there, I mean, but say
Okay.
we take the PDF and put that on the website, we don't all need to be there for that,
Hit a button. Yeah, that's
you
true.
know?
Okay.
It's
Just
not
to
practical.
distribute, so.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
Thanks for playing.
Okay. Do we have any more for today? I think we'll get 20 minutes back.
All right, let's, I mean, so how many copies are we talking? Like, if we can get a low enough price, do we want to do
It's all
more?
going to depend on your number. I mean, if you have a budget of 200,
Right.
and if you're going to get saddle stitch, if you're going to,
Right,
all of
it's
those things,
expensive.
and then it's color. So
Color,
that's
right.
expensive.
Right.
So I think, I'm totally guessing, I'm going to say probably somewhere between maybe 10, 15 copies.
Right. And I don't think we would ever give them, we would have them available for people to look at.
Right,
Like have a couple at the senior center
right.
and have 3 or 4 here.
You mean the library?
The library.
At the senior center, I don't know how much.
No.
But they were very upset that we didn't consult them enough in the survey.
Yeah, no, I would like to have
Oh,
one.
interesting.
I would like to have one at each of the places where
Okay.
they were.
Oh, yeah, the hard copies were located?
hard copies, yeah. I'm not necessarily sure we need to have one at Big E, because that's not the kind of place where people would look
People are
at
in
it.
it.
No, but I've been thinking they need to, I don't know if they already have this at the library, but it would be nice to have like a community documents section at the library where I could put the master plan, where I could put basically any reports that come through this office to be able to give them a copy and have be made publicly available.
That's a good idea. Talk to,
Plus it stops, it also,
Christine.
it's another venue, so you can go there on Saturday, you can't come here on
Right.
Saturday, so that
That's
would
true.
be...
And Fridays, yeah.
Yeah, so I think probably 10, between 10 and 12.
Yeah.
Depending on the cost. I'd rather not shoot the whole $200 on printing.
What else are you gonna spend it on between now and June 30th?
Maybe a little blurb a little extra blurb in the Gazette.
So run an ad? They would write an article though, you wouldn't need to pay for that.
Well, they'd write an article for the paper itself, but if we wanted something in Summit, we'd have to pay for that, wouldn't we?
I would think that you'd be able to have a discussion with her and say, this is out, these are the results.
Okay.
It'd be great, we'd love to get some press on this, and then see if she'd be able to write a smaller blurb in the Gazette and you don't have to pay for it. I would think, but maybe not, I could be totally wrong.
Because I know we did have to pay for, well, that's because we had the whole sheet in there.
And you had, it was like an ad practically.
Yeah.
I mean, you were asking them to do a whole print run.
Yeah.
If it's just writing a blurb in the Easthampton, that community section where they do blurbs
Yeah.
on all the different stuff that's been happening.
Okay.
I can see the headlines now. The results are in. I analyzed.
Extra.
So I guess we can end early then.
Yeah, I think so. So our next meeting will be February 18th, right?
18th, at 3 o'clock.
At 3 o'clock.
Okay, meeting's adjourned. Just stop you then.